Welcome to the Bridge of Two podcast. Who would like to start?
It's up to you. It's your podcast.
No. We're splitting the revenue with you, Caleb.
Oh, really?
All negative $5.
yeah.
So you actually owe us $5.
It's worse than that. If you think about it.
Shut up. I don't like to think about it. Welcome, everybody.
But it's not about, it's about the soul revenue that we earn.
Still pretty far in the negative.
No. This is
I think more of the enjoyment
valuable.
value.
Well, that's what I mean.
Which for me is a lot.
Well, that's good for your soul, though. That's my point.
If you have one,
Oh, you
I
don't.
guess.
Oh, sorry. I forgot you don't like bringing souls into things. Well, except Dark Souls.
Yeah, unless I'm collecting them by killing monsters.
Right. They're not your. As long as it's not your soul.
Yeah,
That's why you have to go back and pick it up.
yeah, exactly.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's all your souls. It's not your soul.
I don't want to lose all my
It's
souls.
questionable whether you have a soul.
Isn't that like the whole thing in the original Dark Souls trilogy? Is like you legitimately don't have a soul, so you're trying to go collect enough to rehumanize yourself.
It's
Let's
about
say
lighting.
yes.
It's about lighting the flame that keeps humanity alive, or something along those
Ooh,
lines.
I like that. That hits deep.
If you actually look at the lore, it's kind of deep.
Carry the fire.
Pretty sure those are words literally said in the game.
It's from a book called The Road.
Keep relinking the flame.
I wonder if the guy who made Dark Souls read The Road.
Keep out the darkness.
Maybe.
Don't want to usher in an age of darkness, so you light the flame. Keep it in an age of
That
light.
makes me want to play Dark Souls. I feel like I'm
Whereas
by
you
not
go to
playing Dark Souls.
Elden
I'm
Ring and you just
not-
burn the entire tree.
Spoilers. I haven't beaten
I
it
don't.
yet.
I don't understand how that's spoilers. Burning an entire tree, but
I don't either. But
It's a whole thing.
welcome back, listeners, ye listeners, to
all
Bridge
ye
of Two.
listeners,
We have another guest.
we're
Recurring.
just
guest.
guestful these
We're
past
just like,
couple
yeah.
episodes, and just
Caleb's back. We're gonna wrap up the Cosmere. It's gonna be very easy just to
Wrap
round
it
the
up.
whole thing
It's
out.
real easy.
Yeah.
Real simple.
So, but first, before we get back to the Cosmere,
but wait, there's more.
let's talk about our lives.
Things.
Oh, that's boring. Caleb, what have you been up to? You start
No.
this time. Making the
The
guest.
sci-fi fantasy part of your life.
Oh, yeah.
That's what.
Yeah, I mean, not just your. Don't go deep, please.
You can't.
Maybe, yeah, I guess if you want to. But
You
this will be
always
a whole
get out,
different. Turn to a therapy podcast. For an
I'm here
episode.
for it.
Let's see. Last week I finished Hogwarts Legacy.
Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it. It's not something like I'd probably go back and replay ever, but it was fun. I just felt like I did what there was to do, and it's not a whole lot of replayability or variety in how
Did you
could play.
100% it?
No.
Do you feel like you won 100%?
No.
Hmm.
Like for the Merlin trials, I did enough to get all the gear slots and then stopped. I didn't do another one after that because it just felt kind of repetitive.
Didn't hit that completionist itch for you?
Not really, because there's just so many extra,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and there's no real reward for doing them. So other than like checking them off the map.
The value of a job well done.
I did do all the ancient magic sites though, because that actually had a reward for doing all of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I might go back and finish all the combat challenges, but
But I mean, otherwise you enjoyed it, though.
yeah,
Like,
it was
you
fun.
playing through it.
The story was decent.
Did you mess around with the Dark Arts Arena?
I did one of them once, but that was one of the things where like there wasn't really a reward that I saw to doing it, so
okay.
like I didn't do it really.
I mean, isn't it just letting you like kind of like isn't it like a sandbox for using the dark
Kinda,
spells? Okay.
Yeah.
That's what it seemed like it was going to be.
Yeah.
Interesting.
What was your character's name?
Calnox Ranlin.
Ranlin. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. What else?
A
Jamie?
little bit more Destiny. started rereading Way of Kings. I'm like almost halfway through.
Nice.
At the part where Dalinar's digging the latrine trenches.
Mm. I'll be starting my reread here probably soon.
Yeah. Plus, soon the
That time of year.
The
Kickstarter for the Words of Radiance Leatherbound pretty soon.
I don't know.
I forget when that was supposed to be.
It was going to be earlier.
He delayed it till August, I think.
Okay,
Something along those lines.
That'd be a good time to
Which I forgot about. I should.
start saving.
I'm starting a new job, so perfect. I'll probably start my reread soon just because I like to do a reread before the next book.
Yeah.
And those books are long, so I want to give myself some
Get
time.
through all 4 of them.
And I want to probably read through them maybe. I always say I'm going to try and read through them a little bit slower, but then I get so caught up in the story that I'm like, I just fly through it. I'm like, so good. I do need to do reread Mistborn as well.
It's easier to go faster through it though when you know you've read it, so you know a lot of stuff, so you can still pick up
new things.
even if you're
extra little bits as you go along.
Nice. Anything you've noticed on this reread?
Nothing big.
Any characters you like less or like more?
I hate Kaladin.
Not particularly yet. Not like far enough through the character arcs to get a new feel for them yet, but yeah.
Gotcha. Right on.
What reread is this for you?
This would be 3.
Okay. Yeah.
The second one I skipped over all the interludes as well, so this time I'm going back and reading those.
Nice. Very
which
nice.
is adding in some stuff, because the first time I think I skimmed them, because I realized after the first couple that they didn't really add to the main story, so I was just like, I want to get back to that. And then playing through Monster Hunter Rise with my brothers.
Right.
That one's better than Monster Hunter World because it gives you a little bit more.
They added more maneuverability, which is nice.
The only issue I kind of have with the Monster Hunter games is that the movement in those games are just so clunky. It feels like, or slow.
Yeah. But having all the calm wire bugs that you can just grapple around and do extra special moves with.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah. And then one of my brothers is just starting to play Warframe again, so I'm probably going to get into that a little bit. Because they have a new expansion or new piece of the story coming out this month.
Nice.
Don't they have a new piece of the story coming out like...
Well, yeah, but this is one of the bigger ones.
Every other month? Okay.
It's like...
Back when I was playing that game regularly...
2 or 3 times a year they have a bigger expansion coming out.
Yeah.
Those guys have a new game coming out too, don't they?
Oh, Soulframe at some point, yeah. I forget when that's supposed to come out, but...
Wait. The game's going to be called Soulframe?
Yeah.
This one's called Warframe.
But it's not like a sequel, I'm pretty sure.
No, it's a separate game.
It's a separate game.
Also an MMO. It's not a Souls-like.
But it's a separate game.
Yeah. Like they...
Interesting. At
their convention last year, TennoCon, they announced they announced a new game called Soulframe.
Okay.
And had I think they had a bit of a gameplay trailer of it.
I can't remember if I saw that or not. Because I remember seeing there was like a big TennoCon announcement.
We talked about it.
I sent you the video or something over text.
So maybe I must have watched it.
Probably.
If not, shame on me. You sent it to me.
He just ignores everything you say.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, obviously. But I think that's about it. As far as sci-fi fantasy stuff.
Sweet. Josh.
Yes.
How's your week been going?
Been good. How's your week?
What have you been up to, my man? Just start a whole conversation here. Just ignore the podcast. Just say, my week's been pretty good, man.
So, I mean, the biggest thing is I finished season 1 of Hunting Misfortune on the Mithril app.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Everybody go. You can go now read it in its entirety.
Yeah.
Is it released yet, or you just gave it to them?
I gave it to them.
And it's
I
released.
I just wasn't sure if there's a lag between when you give it to them and when it's released.
There can be.
By about an hour.
But the next scheduled episode release was today, and it was my last episode, so I was like, well, I could do this. So I finished it. I started it last week, and I finished the episode yesterday right at lunchtime.
Nice.
Turned it in.
Does it feel weird to have ended?
Yeah, it does. It does feel weird.
Are you happy with it?
Yes, I'm happy with it. It's not perfect. It's not as good as it could be.
Fair.
I know that, but I am happy with like the overall arc of the main three characters, you know, and it was really fun exploring more of like the backstory of kind of villainous. I don't have words right now. The sect,
the antagonist.
Yeah, you call them the antagonist. So the antagonist,
the villainous group.
Yeah, villainous group.
Organization.
There's a different word I'm looking for, but it's not organization. But whatever. It's probably a synonym of organization.
Cult.
I've become too dependent on wordhippo.com. It's like anytime I'm like writing it, it's like no. What that word means, but a different
cooler word.
Wordhippo.com. Check it out. So anyway, that group, we're just exploring their backstory, and basically in a way I in this story made them like a proto version of what they are in my book. So there's like this part of what's happening that is lightly touched on in this book and would be this season, excuse me, Mithril, and would be
Josh.
Yeah, use right terminology, would be explored more fully. It will be a bigger part of the story in future seasons. Is just a big shift that's going to happen within this organization from being like an idealistic kind of rebel group that are, you know, maybe wrong about some things, but they are idealistic, you know, and they're not necessarily trying to be on the side of evil, you know, but they are more ends justify the means kind of approach. They are shifting. They're internally, their like leadership is shifting, and the actual like force of evil in the world is kind of gaining more sway in them, and so that's going to be interesting. So that's something I'm excited to explore in future season. I'll get to it, but anyway.
After you work more on your book.
Yeah, I have. I just like reading for reference of a particular thing that I had already done in the book. I was like, how did I do this, portray this in the book? And I was reading it, and I was like, and I just read the whole chapter that I wrote, and I was just like, I really like this. And then so it just kind of reignited my desire to, you know,
get back to the book.
Work on it more, you know,
and
get it to a place. I want to get it. My goal right now is to get it to a place where I can give it to people to read and get feedback, basically.
Yes,
so
please.
Not a final draft, not like, you know,
just something Jeremiah can read.
Yes,
Thank
basically.
You. So you're taking a small little hiatus from Mithril right now, correct? After the first season.
Yeah, it'll be. We'll see. It'll be at least a couple months.
Okay.
Before I start writing on the next thing, and then so as far as like release, when the next season will be starting to release, I'm not, you know, it's not like a really hard like date in my mind. It's just I'm gonna start editing this and see what kind of progress I can make. Yeah. After a month goes by, where I'm at, you know, and how much longer would I need to, you know. Yeah. So, but yeah.
Nice.
So I'm looking forward to that, and having a little bit more relaxed pace of working on this. And anyway, so that's the main thing. Still watching The Mandalorian with my wife and enjoying that on season 2. I'm watching The Bad Batch season 2, and I'm loving it.
Nice.
It's nice. There's, you know, just all of the setup, you know, from season 1, you know, was necessary, but having like all that established and just starting season 2, like they just start, you know, going full speed on lots of different things they started setting up last season and stuff. So it's just been awesome. I just love it.
I need to watch that. Continue on with it.
Yeah, I want to say more, but I don't want to spoil anything.
Don't you dare.
I don't want to spoil anything from season 1 because it's
Oh, okay.
because there's like stuff that's happening in season 1 that is just continued into this season that I'm glad that they continued.
Yeah.
There's certain things I'm glad that they didn't wrap up in season 1.
Would have felt rushed if they did.
Yeah, it's feeling like it's giving that tension from season 1 more weight in season 2 in a good way. So
Nice.
it's been fun. They have brought back so far a couple characters like from Clone Wars and stuff, and it's handling them in a very interesting way and stuff. So
Nice.
just good all around. I was watching episode. I think I finished episode 5 today, or I'm still on episode 5. But
nice.
yeah.
Oh, so you're still like super early. I think that's about where I was at.
Okay. Yeah. And then to that, and then just a little more Hogwarts Legacy. But hopefully now that I'm done with season 1 of Mithril of Hunting Misfortune, I'll be able to play some more games, read some more books.
A little more free time.
Yep.
Nice.
I have been reading more Tress and enjoying that.
Good.
But
you need to finish it.
I know I want to. Because the second Secret Project came out.
I already dropped. I'm already in it. I'm not going through this one as fast though.
How far are you in?
Like chapter 7 or 8 or something like
Okay.
that. I'm not as... I finished part 1.
Are you started
No.
yet?
I'll wait till I get the book, actually.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's what I'm going to do.
I started looking at all the art on the digital download, but I haven't actually read anything.
Ooh, I'd like to check that out. Be interesting to see what the art would look like for this book. Anywho, that's me. I think.
Sweet. Do you think?
I think it is.
Should lose a couple days or something?
I don't know. I don't have enough space up there for everything.
I feel that.
So what's new with you?
Not much.
Anything new?
I mean, a lot of things new, but nothing I'm going to say.
Oh, okay.
Been binging Attack on Titan.
Oh, yeah.
It has 100% reignited my love for anime and manga. Which makes me very happy because I forgot how much I enjoy anime and manga. It's just such good animation and storytelling in a lot of them. And they're just so fun.
Yeah.
But Attack on Titan in itself, I'm like nearing the end of it. Like I'm almost caught up to where they're at. I think they have one more episode that needs to drop.
Yeah.
Like the final. There's like the final season part, 4.
Yeah.
So, but I'm like 10, 8, less than 10 episodes being caught up to that.
Okay. Like one solid night of binging.
Easily. I could probably finish it tonight if I didn't have work tomorrow. It is phenomenal. If you have not watched it, you should. It is dark. It is very dark. It is very gritty, and it is very depressing. But it is such a good show.
You don't have to convince me.
The story is really good. There's just so many twists and turns that you don't see coming. I literally was talking
depressing twists and turns.
Not necessarily, I mean, some of them were depressing, but some of them were just interesting too. But like literally I was talking to Steph today, and I was kind of just talking, explaining shit. There's no clue like I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I was just like, yeah, if I literally, like, if I were to tell you this, and then you sat and I sat you down and had you watch the first couple of season 1, you would have absolutely zero clue how they got to where they're at now, because it is like almost like just a different show because of how many things change.
Yeah.
And I just watched an episode that just dropped a major plot twist. And then some crazy stuff happened. If you've watched the show, you know what I mean by crazy stuff is happening at the end here with the main character. But it show's really good. It's also just got, I don't know, it's got good undertones. There's a lot of undertones of like war and racism and everything like that. It's just very interesting. Slavery to an extent is part of it. So it's also just got really, it's just, I don't know, the writer did a really good job. And the animators for the show, just some of the best animation I've seen in a while in a show. So, very much enjoy it. So yeah, if you haven't watched it, give it a watch. Just don't watch it around kids. Unless you want your kids to see monsters eat people alive.
Have nightmares for who knows how long afterwards.
I mean, they need to be prepared for what's coming.
That's true. But yeah, so that reignited my love for anime manga. I picked up a few mangas that I'm kind of flipping through. Probably gonna watch Demon Hunter next.
Okay.
I think it's gonna be my
Demon
next
Slayer?
game. Demon Slayer.
Yeah.
Demon Hunter.
Isn't that a more recent one?
Well, it's been a couple years. It's more
But it's
recent.
only like, what, 2-3 seasons at this point?
Yeah. 3 is, I think, coming out on May on Netflix. And they just had they started doing, like, between seasons, they'll have a movie they'll put out in theaters. The second one just came out recently.
So I'll probably start that next.
Didn't end up watching, but yeah.
Just because it looks really good. I've heard the story's good, so.
It is.
Yeah, that'll be my next one, as well as continuing on with Naruto. I've been watching that off and on, so. And I haven't done as much reading. I was reading the 3rd book in the Malazan series, but I'm in a little bit of a reading slump, and that's probably just not the best book to read for a reading slump.
Yeah.
But I did pick up Secret Project 2, and I've been reading that. That's a very fun book. It's easy to read. And so I'm actually enjoying reading that. So hopefully that'll reignite my reading, get me out of this little bit of a reading slump. Other than that, just doing some more drawing, hanging out. Started in a new game with my brother. Shout out to Juwu. We've been playing The Last Epoch. Which is like
I'm glad you say it that way.
What's the other way to say it?
Epic.
Some people say epic, and I like epoch, but I just don't think it sounds
cool. Epic is a separate word, so like
epic
epoch
thank you.
Makes sense.
Epic is EPIC.
I mean,
this is EPOCH, epoch. I would think maybe epoch.
I'm just saying I've heard it.
Or epic.
I've heard people say it, and I'm not going to correct them, but
I would. It's wrong.
I just don't want to be that guy.
It's called Last Epoch.
You mean Epoch?
It's a Diablo. It's like a Diablo clone, Diablo 4 clone, kind of. That action art.
Is that legal?
Not like literally. Okay. It's still in early access, but it's like very late in early access. And so we've been playing that. It's a lot of fun.
Okay.
Jedi Survivor's out on the 27th of this month.
I did see that.
Oh, snappy!
So that'll be a game that I'll be playing when it comes out.
For sure.
That'll be probably a day one buy for me. But Last Epoch's very fun. It's just fun. Another one of those easy games for my brother and I to pick up and play for a little bit.
Yeah.
And not have to, we played for like an hour yesterday and then got off, We have characters we play together and we've already almost level 30 on those characters.
Yeah.
So it's just easy.
It's the kind of game that's easy to pick up and put down.
Run, your generic loot grind game. Run around, destroy mobs with cool magic skills and pick up items and get stronger. So, yeah, other than that, it's about it for me. Just playing other basic games. Hades.
Still playing that?
Playing that occasionally. That and Dead Cells. Dead Cells a little bit more just because it's on the Switch. I just bring it with me. Which are both very fun.
Hades on the Switch too.
It is, but I got it on it was on sale on the PC, so. Yeah, and then Dead Cells was on sale on the Switch. So.
That's how they get you.
Yup. Yeah, that's about it for me. Not too much going on.
Any drawing?
I have been doing some drawing. Nothing to drop. I could technically drop that one animation piece that I will at one point. I just keep forgetting to.
Right now.
Right now, I've been doing a lot of
Do it.
I'm going back to some basics and doing some studies, more like human studies, like anatomy and faces. A lot of head studies. I don't know. I'm struggling with faces recently, so I'm trying to get a little bit better about that and the construction of a head and then the body, so that I can make my things look a little bit less stiff. I feel like a lot of my drawings look very stiff. I'm trying to fix that.
Faces seem like they'd be difficult to get the expression right.
The expression, and then not just that, but human people, people in general, are very hard to draw because they're something that we look at every day. So they're very easy to spot out inconsistencies. Yeah. So it's one of those things where if you don't get it right, it's noticeable. And so, just my biggest thing is just I have a heart stiffness. My characters are so stiff, and I want to fix that. So especially if I want to do animation.
I mean, the animation I saw, looked very fluid. Didn't look stiff to me. But
his body wasn't moving, and it was covered mostly by a cape.
Have you used your drawing tablet more?
That's what I've been doing most of my on. Actually, it's kind of getting hard for me to draw on the iPad because it feels different now.
Okay.
So I'm getting too used to the drawing tablet, but I like it a lot. And once we get a new place and can have a nice setup, I'll be drawing on that most of the time.
Nice.
Does it have some haptic feedback kind of stuff as you're drawing, or is it all just smooth writing stuff?
What do you mean?
Does it try to mimic how it feels
pressure?
actually right?
You can have stuff that can. This one kind of feels a little bit more like the screen is every time feels more like paper. Yeah. The drawing tablet have the screen feels a little bit more like paper than my iPad does. I know the iPad you can actually buy a screen cover that is like basically like paper. I don't like it.
Okay.
It makes I like I use the iPad for a bunch of other things, like watching stuff at work or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I don't like that it gets fuzzy with that type of thing. So I just whatever. And I've gotten used to drawing on the screen. But as far as like that type of feedback, yeah, I mean do
you prefer one way or the other?
I'm liking the way the drawing tablet feels.
Okay, yeah.
A lot. Close enough to paper. I think the biggest thing, the difference is the way, like, don't know how to explain it, but the way I have to draw on the drawing tablet with the computer is I have to slow down because I actually have to almost kind of follow a cursor a little bit.
Yeah. And
know where that's at compared to the pencil is like straight Bluetooth. And so like wherever I'm going to put that, it's going to go. So I go really fast on the iPad.
Yeah.
Whereas this I have to slow down, but slowing down helps me because I'm actually paying attention to what I'm doing. So I just don't random lines in there.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's good. Hopefully I'll be able to put out some things here soon. Some more. I plan on working on some projects here soon. I have quite a few in mind, both animation and just illustrations. So hopefully I'll be able to get some things out and do some things. So
sweet.
We'll see.
Sweet.
But that's it from me.
All right. Well, should we go get the drink?
Get some drinks, come back, and
be back, and we'll talk Cosmere.
Let's do it.
And we'll bring you with us. See you soon.
Into the Cosmere.
Exactly. Thank you. We're back. We're back. And I found Odin's skull.
Whoa.
Metal.
That's all I'll say. There was an imported mead at the wine place, and from Denmark, no less.
Whoa.
Where Odin's skull is actually, buried.
Really?
I don't know. That doesn't
probably in some lore somewhere you could find something.
Maybe
something about that.
But Denmark is like Scandinavia.
I mean,
right? Technically.
Yeah.
Is it?
Or like Scandinavian, I should say.
Yeah.
What is that?
Well, forgive me, Denmark, if I'm wrong, but so this is going to be a more traditional type mead. What we usually get is it's more like more beer type.
It smells really good.
It does.
It's got, but this is going to be like an actual honey wine. With sour apple juice, hops, and cinnamon added.
You can smell all of them.
The back says, Odin, one-eyed and long-bearded, often carrying a spear, might be one of the most complex characters in Norse mythology. This brew is intended to honor Odin's name, master of inspiration and fury. Made solely from 100% natural ingredients, served lightly chilled in a wineglass or warm as the mulled wine. Odin's skull ages well. There may be yeast sediment in the bottom of the bottle. There you go. You've been warned. Product Denmark. Well,
what do you say we try it?
Let's drinky. Cheers. Should we? Yeah.
See how audible that is.
I like the smell. The cinnamon. You alright?
That's good.
Unexpected.
Is it just really like powerful
very,
flavor?
Very powerful flavor.
Yeah. The cinnamon definitely kicks out at you.
Wow. That's good, I think. Now, I did keep the most of it on the front of my tongue, so maybe it's more intense on the back.
It's a bit of a burn. Not a lot, but
maybe I took I think I took smaller sips than you guys.
I think it's meant to take smaller sips.
Probably.
It's good. It's just strong.
It's 19%.
I definitely am more of a fan of just
40 proof.
I like the other mead that we.
You like the mead we get?
I like the more beerish mead.
Yeah, this is a lot sweeter.
I like. I definitely like the mead we get, but I like this a lot too. Like, enough to get it on occasion. Any other thoughts on the mead?
Bum bum bum. No, it's very it's alright. It's very tasty. It's just so strong. I don't know. I don't like how strong it is personally, but not something I would continue. Like I would drink
lots of it
on a daily. I guess I won't really drink anything on a daily, but
you should drink a decent amount. Probably not like daily, but
here's a question though. This doesn't seem stronger than like Fireball.
no, Fireball's stronger.
So why don't you like?
different taste.
It's similar. It reminds me of Fireball though. It's
a
not.
little bit. Fireball
doesn't
has a
have
much stronger cinnamon taste though.
Yeah, the cinnamon
Unless
is stronger
the
on the back
apple.
end for sure. On the back
Maybe
end.
I've just had a lot of Fireball, but
Maybe.
Like today.
No, not today. Last night. Gosh, I don't drink alcohol when I work the next day.
I go in phases. Sometimes I'll drink 2 drinks a night. Sometimes I'll go weeks without.
But that's the thing though. Like that's like I feel like that's like I know coworkers that didn't drink during the week. They just drink on the weekend.
Yeah. If I work the next day, I won't drink. But that's just right now. I wake up at 4 a.m. So
Yeah.
I don't want to wake up still slightly toasty if I drink until whenever I drink too. I might have a glass of something, but I won't drink more than a glass.
Nice.
A bit more.
Passing the mead skull around. It's a nice sound. So last time in Cosmere,
Last week on.
Cosmere Bridge of Cosmere. Cosmere.
On Bridge to the Cosmere.
On Bridge to the Cosmere. Jeremiah.
What did you title last one?
The Cosmere check-in.
Okay.
This one's definitely got to be called Bridge
Part
to the
1.
Cosmere.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Never mind. Cosmere Chicken Part 2. Bridge to the Cosmere.
I mean,
Oh yeah, you gotta have a subtitle.
just like have a really long.
You gotta have subtitles in every episode.
The Frugal Wizard's Guide. I'll cut that. I'll cut that out in case I don't know that anyone.
I mean, to be
listens
fair,
this
you don't
that
need
cares.
no context for that. You could be
That's
talking about
true.
something
That's
you have
true.
no clue.
That's true. I will
just
not.
saw that like as I got here and I looked at stuff, but
I will not cut that out. Yeah. So we
Easter eggs in here.
we covered some things, some planets and some shards.
Real quick, once again, disclaimer.
Disclaimers.
There will be spoilers.
Major spoilers
Many,
for
many
Cosmere,
spoilers.
for Mistborn, more than likely, for Stormlight, more than likely, just
In general,
in general, just Cosmere
as we,
spoilers. So. Talking you, Josh.
I think
Julu.
last time we talked.
Oh yeah, shout out to
mostly
Julu.
about
Get out while you can.
Cell.
Yeah, I did think we talked about mostly about Cell. A little bit about, I think, Nalthus as well.
Oh yeah, true, a little bit of
Yeah,
Nalthus, too.
Cell and Nalthus. We talked about autonomy because autonomy
Just kind of all over the
everywhere.
place.
is all over the place on a lot of the other planets, and so we did that too.
And try to go to more.
Guess we didn't talk about Yolan really because not much there, but
We don't really know any much about Yolan yet.
what we know about Yolan is that that's supposedly like, well, I know that that's the origination point,
Originality.
origination point of humans.
Interesting. Are you saying people from Scadrial aren't human?
No, I think that it's that they are
Modeled off of humans, but are
right
based on
because they're created by ruin and preservation.
Yeah,
But
like it's a whole part of the
like,
lore.
yeah, and then that the shattering happened like on Yolan. I mean, that's where they have it on the map. I think that's because it's implied that that's where it happens.
Pointing to Yolan there.
Although I've always thought, I've always wondered if the shattering has some connection to Roshar and the Shattered Plains, but it could just have some connection to Honor. What happened to Honor? But yeah. So we talked about like Odium and autonomy and how they have.
Did Yolan itself shatter into the different
I don't-
planets?
I don't think so.
I guess
that's an interesting thought.
That would be a lot of.
What was the
They're all in
question?
different solar systems and everything. So yeah, that would
If
be a
Yolan
lot of
shattered
shattering.
into planets, but I don't think the planet shattered.
Yeah, they're all in different solar systems, so that would be a very violent shattering.
But it is interesting to think, though, if Adonalsium was like either Brandon has has put multiple viewpoints on Adonalsium in the books and refuses to like confirm them because he wants it to be open ended. But that Adonalsium is either God or Adonalsium is like this kind of prime force of creation or something, you know. And
whatever he was, he is now 16 shards.
Right.
Well,
but it's just interesting to think of it happening in a localized like place, like by a planet, like on Yolan. You know, like why on Yolan? You know? Did this character or force or whatever of ad nauseum, why was it on Yolan? Did it come to Yolan? You know? Because obviously all these other planets weren't invested. Or were they? Or did it invest, like, could ad nauseum invest like far reaching, you know?
Maybe, yeah.
Anyway, that's a bunch of random thoughts popped into my head.
I guess we won't really know until... I feel like Dragonsteel, when that book comes out, we'll end up learning a lot.
Yeah, because Dragonsteel is going to be like Hoyd's origin.
Yeah.
Shout out to Hoyd.
Can't wait.
That's one thing I'm loving in Tress is like Hoyd.
Yeah.
Just his narration and seeing him in Tress try to help with his curse.
And as much as he could.
I also just totally think, like, he just drops random tidbits of information. He'll drop random names of things that, like, I've never heard before. I'm like, I feel like this is probably extremely important.
Thing, yeah.
But we don't know anything about it. Like, I feel like in, like, 10 years, I'm going to go back and read Tress, be like, wow. He just dropped so much lore here.
It's like Brandon just sat down and mapped out what the rest of the story is going to be, and then went back and just like, oh, here's a bunch of Easter eggs.
Well, I think it's been confirmed that Tress is late stage Cosmere, timeline wise. So
it sounds like it
makes sense.
So
from the ending, which you don't yet know.
Okay. So I think that
yeah,
it would maybe make sense that he's dropping things that we don't know anything. He's dropping them as if we should know about them, because at that point in the timeline, they're probably big factors and players and stuff. But this is like the most complete late stage, which I don't even know if Tress. Well, I guess that may be spoilers, because I wasn't sure if Hoyd is narrating late in the Cosmere or is the story actually taking place late in the Cosmere? You know, because
like, is this something he's telling?
Right. Like,
I think both, because of something that Caleb mentioned.
Okay.
There's something in the end of the book that seems like it's more late stage Cosmere stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome.
What is happening at the point where you're at?
Tress had just figured out that. Well, she figured out, I need to get Crow to sail the Crimson Sea. Oh, Crow already wants to sail the Crimson Sea. Great. Oh, that was easy to get Crow to sail the Crimson Sea. Okay. Oh, Crow wants to offer me as a sacrifice to this dragon.
All that
in the Crimson Sea.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at pretty much. She was just looking at a cannonball diagram to like actually I was just listening to
the new designs or whatever,
talking about like how there's a vine that a little bit of water like thing breaks and the vine starts growing. That's like the fuse that explodes, which that whole thing is really cool. That's all
that was pretty cool. I would have liked
just like leave it to Brandon Sanderson to make
included
naval warfare.
That would have been cool.
Yeah. To like reinvent naval warfare, like leave it to Brandon
within
Sanderson.
his world building.
Yeah.
He has a amazing knack to take very mundane things or things that even now like nowadays in society are basic, like cannonballs,
and then just like twist it
just twist it and make it something to fit his world in a very cool and interesting way. He does it with a lot of different things. It's kind of interesting. I'm curious to see how he makes, when we start getting to the sci-fi aspect, how he makes those things.
In Era 3 Mistborn.
Well, that's what I was thinking about, is how it's like he's doing something in this book that in a lot of ways there's a lot of aspects of what's happening with, you know, even though it's a localized story and this planet's like technology doesn't seem to be space age, but at the same time, a lot of the things that's happening with all the moons and the aethers and there's other aspects of it that it feels sort of sci-fi, you know, and yet he's able to like take sci-fi, what should feel like sci-fi, and it still feels like a fantasy, you know, story, you know, incorporate the space incorporate space into it, you know. Yeah, so a little aside there about Dress of the Emerald Sea. So where to begin? I think like in the timeline of the Cosmere, I believe Stormlight takes place after the events of the first Mistborn trilogy.
I would assume so because
that letter with
the letter to Harmony.
Yeah, between Hoid and Harmony. So,
and isn't it kind of confirmed that Era 2 takes place? What will be the jump between book 5 and 6 of Stormlight?
I think you're right, and I think that yeah. So I think the next era of Stormlight will take place after Era 2 of Mistborn. But yeah, so I mean, there's lots of stuff between those two planets. Interesting stuff about like shards shattering, and you know they have multiple shards on, you know, on Mistborn's planet Scadrial. You have preservation and ruin, which made this like pact together.
Basically, the two shards were balanced in that star system, and they could create by working together, but neither of them would be happy with the end result. So eventually, preservation wanting to create people, sapient people, did it and endowed them with sapience, which in turn gave up a part of himself, making him weaker than Ruin, which apparently was what Ruin wanted. So it says, which formed the basis of their agreement that Ruin would be allowed to destroy the world someday. However, preservation is the one who actually broke the deal.
Right.
Sacrificing his mind to create a prison for Ruin, preventing him from destroying the planet.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, which is very interesting because even though preservation and ruin come together, you know, the shards are being held by Sazed, you know, by Harmony. So the events of the end of the first trilogy, he takes up both shards, he's basically holding on to them with this intent of harmony. You know, he's used because intents are very important in the Cosmere. If you have a shard, it's going to follow its intent, you know, and so you have to try and, you know, the way you act, the way you can do things as a shard have to balance with the intent of the shard, you know, and so that's how Sazed was able to hold them, is to use this intent of harmony because it kind of balances between preservation.
Use them both equally.
Right.
And it's even like going back to Ruin, it even says apparently the original vessel of Ruin, Addy, was originally a kind-natured person, but
because he had
that nature of
a ruin, the intent took over. Over the eons, yeah.
And that's you know, jumping forward ahead is what I think Kelsier is kind of fearing is happening to Sazed, where Ruin is kind of a little bit stronger than preservation and is taking over a little bit.
Because if you think about it, humanity still exists. So that little part of preservation that was given up to give them life and sapience and all this thing is still residing in them.
And there's still that deal that Ruin would eventually destroy the world.
Right. That was never fulfilled. So there's still an imbalance, and so I think that's
why he can't help as much as he would like to.
Yeah.
Because they're so opposite, but then holding them together, which means you have two intents that are battling. So at this point with Sazed, it's going to be which intent is going to end up over. Right. If one is going to win, which one's going to win?
Ruin.
And is there a way to kind of push one side or the other?
Yeah.
And it sounds like now that Ruin is, because I think Ruin is technically
stronger.
Because preservation had to give up some power to give them human sapience, Ruin is still stronger. So that intent is going to be stronger on Sazed.
I guess that leads into autonomy, and like that's why humanity has to push for preservation, because that's the only way they can now. So that leads to autonomy because they feel like they can't have help from their god.
I saw a Q&A question. Someone asked Brandon Sanderson, could the intent of harmony kind of devolve into a different intent? Could it devolve into the intent of discord? Because if you think about like you got preservation and ruin working together in harmony, right? But if you have preservation and ruin and they are these conflicting things that are kind of like working against each other, that could also be seen as discord.
Which right now it kind of is.
It's kind of evolving. Remember, Kelsier sees like this shadow behind him. So it's like, I think the picture there we're getting is like, instead of them being right over top of each other, there's like they're not completely in harmony anymore, you know. And the concern is how long before that will, you know, how out of kilter can that get, you know? And it's hard to imagine, you know, Sazed like just kind of getting pulled apart by these two shards, like intense.
How many of the Rapho questions you suppose are Brandon just saying, "Ooh, that's a good idea"?
I think some of them, definitely.
I'm sure there's a few.
A lot of them are just like, I think a lot of them are just like, he's like, I don't want to say what I think the answer is.
I don't want to trap myself into one way or the other.
Right, because then it's like, if he goes back and looks at his continuity and it's like, oh no, I can't do it because of that, you know? He just likes to leave himself the freedom until he actually writes it.
Which makes sense.
You know?
Yeah.
But then sometimes it is because of stuff he's like this is like, sometimes a Rapho is kind of a confirmation, you know? Too.
So that's how they phrase the question.
But I think he did confirm that could be an intent of those two shards. That is a possible intent.
It would be possible for them for that to switch, because harmony itself is not a true shard. Ruin and preservation are the shards, but harmony is them in concert.
Right.
Yeah, he's just holding both shards.
I mean, it is a true intent because it wouldn't be possible if it wasn't, but that whole concept of holding two shards is very controversial. I remember one of the epigraphs, I think it's one of the epigraphs in either Oathbringer or maybe Words of Radiance. That's part of the, like, apparently like Odium is aware of what's going on with harmony and is very
not happy about
it, like very concerned. It's like,
well, it's because that's not one person controlling two shards.
Well, because the intent of the Odium shard is like, in, you know, think about like survival, right? It's like, I want to be Odium. I don't want to be this other intent that's like balancing between them, you know. So
you know, it's interesting too. I'm pretty sure only ruin and preservation are the only shards that can be held together to form harmony, because they're really they're the main.
They're the most opposite.
They're the most like direct opposites.
Yeah.
Which held together, and I think if preservation wasn't weakened, it would be true harmony. But because preservation's weakened, you're going to have discord.
Yeah.
Because Rue is going to push over
eventually. Yeah.
Eventually.
Which is I'm just like, whenever we get into the next era of Mistborn, it's going to be very interesting to see like what is going on.
How much has changed by then.
Harmony by then. Yeah, because it's going to be a different. I mean, it's going to be like at least 100 years, if not more.
I wonder if it's almost even done in the way of like widespread war. I mean, that's a form of ruin.
Yeah, if you really think about like discord, ruin, or like just like things being discord, that maybe there just being a lot of conflict, you know.
Because you know, think the era that he's going into is supposed to be considered like the 1930s, right, or like 1960s era.
I think the next era he wanted to do was like the 70s or something.
Yeah,
like but he was thinking of doing a steampunk.
Like
I think he was.
Huh?
You know, like hippies then?
Well, I think
maybe
I could see more
like
of
on the cusp of space age, kind of. You know,
I was thinking more like a 19. I remember being like 1940s to 1960s type thing, and I can see that being very strongly steampunk, but also like very war centric. You know, because in our history, that's like that whole 1900s era. Was,
well, they're right. They basically did a Cosmere version of the atomic bomb in Lost Metal.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, like if they hadn't disarmed it the way they did, it would have created this chain reaction.
Yeah.
That was like a Cosmere version of the atomic bomb. But
do you think, sort of side note, do you think they're going to start, well, you think we're going to see the resurgence of Mistborn in the next era?
They would have to. Why else would they have Wax become a Mistborn if it wasn't going to be brought up later?
How did he become Mistborn?
He separated.
He got a little bit, like a minuscule amount of the, what was the Mitchell called? that turns him into a
it's
Mistborn.
Lerasium that turns you into Mistborn.
In the explosion, he succeeded slightly and made a little bit of Lerasium.
Did he collect it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what
it happened. I think
he is now a Mistborn, but he doesn't yet realize it.
It was he
uses a bit of pewter to survive.
Oh, okay.
The explosion.
Yeah, so Harmony ends up taking it, and because remember that's how Wayne gets it, because Harmony ends up taking what he separated, forming it into a shot glass full of the Lerasium.
And that was the
I remember
that was used last when we would need it, but then it also came out to somehow find out that Wax does actually have some in him. I don't remember how, if it was from the explosion, it got into his blood.
I think it was from the explosion.
I just don't remember exactly.
I mean, it's definitely it's
going to have to come up later.
It's not an accident that there was so much work done by Brandon in that books of doing the whole trying to split Adium and Lerasium and to get the those metals again, and that they did succeed in doing it, even though Harmony didn't tell Kelsier. Mm-hmm. He lied.
It is not known that they succeeded, but they did succeed.
Or something along those lines.
Partially.
Yeah, so, I think you're right that there are going to be Mistborn again, but...
Because now it's in the bloodline again.
Right, for sure. At least by that.
I guess it was always in the bloodline, but just now it's fresh.
He inhaled Lerasium dust after the explosion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or during the explosion.
Yeah, I missed that part. I did hear I remember in the epilogue, I was like, I heard him say that, and I was like, I didn't know.
But it's theorized that he's a weaker form of a Mistborn. Because there's different grades of Mistborn,
Yeah, because it just inhaled a little bit of it.
That was all, in the original trilogy, that was always, the closer you were to, pure blood, the more powerful Mistborn you were.
Yeah,
if you got Lerasium, then that is the pure blood.
Right.
Well, I just think it's
only got a little bit then.
Because remember when Ellen's a way more powerful Mistborn than other Mistborn,
because he had the pure Lerasium.
Generation 1 Mistborn.
So that makes me wonder, is Wax stronger than the typical Mistborn of Era 1, or is he as strong because he didn't get a full
He might be as strong just because he only had dust.
Yeah. That's interesting to think about.
I'm
all for there being Mistborn again.
Because we're skipping eras now, we're not going to know what actually happens with Wax from then, unless it's in Legends again.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll get that across somehow.
Yeah.
Like he did with
it's got to be included.
He got across the lore of Mistborn, of the Lord Mistborn, and all that stuff.
Well, we'll see when eventually Mistborn Era 3 starts.
Which will be
in
a
billion
while.
years, yeah.
Because I think... it'll be after Mistborn, after Stormlight 5.
If you think about... For Mistborn Era 1, there were still Mistborn being born after, 1,000 years of the Lord Ruler's reign?
Yeah.
Era 2 is, a couple hundred later?
Yeah,
I guess there was only... Spook was the only true Mistborn left at that point. But, how
something else happened, though.
How quickly did the blood dilute?
Well, but remember... The Lord Ruler was insanely harsh on diluting their bloodlines.
That's
remember?
true. He kept them
he intentionally.
It was
Vin was kind of a fluke, if I remember correctly.
She was the daughter of one of the higher ups in the Inquisitors,
right? That didn't kill their,
or actually not an Inquisitor, but in that branch of
that didn't kill the. The woman that they slept with or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's the big reason that it.
That's why it was able
which
to
that's
hold
the whole
true as it was.
That's the whole thing that people will look at the Lord Ruler, everything he did, and it's post third book.
You can see
it's
why
all
he
a lot
did it.
more
It was still
understandable.
wrong, but you can see why
right,
he did it.
Right. It's still very bad and upsetting.
Yeah.
But at the same point.
There was a
purpose to it. Yeah. Huh. Yeah. So I wonder in the future if Kelsier and oh my goodness, I just thought about it. What if in the future the Ghostbloods, yeah, and Kelsier, what if they have to kill a god again?
Kill what?
Kill a god again.
Have they already killed a god?
Well, Lord Ruler. That was the whole. That was the Lord Ruler. Everyone believed like he was.
Yeah.
God,
like he was the
that was he was like a religion.
At that time. He was the holder of
not the holder of.
Well,
he was a he was
a sliver of ruin.
He was
preservation.
Preservation.
But it was ruin.
Well, that's why he tried to keep everything the same.
No, it was preservation's power that he kept taking up.
Yeah,
because you had to use the power to keep the
cage for ruin.
Keep the cage on ruin.
Ruin was still caged.
Yeah,
but like that's why he tried to keep everything exactly as it was when he took it up the power.
And that's why preservation liked him so much whenever Kelsier was talking to preservation. But what I'm saying is, if harmony keeps becoming more discordant to the point that it's like harmony becomes an antagonist almost. Then I could see that that would just be an interesting full circle character arc for Kelsier. I mean, imagine if Kelsier has to kill Sazed.
I mean, he implies it's already something he's thinking about.
It's in the back of his mind for sure. That
or in the very front of his mind.
Or the front, yeah. Yeah, this is all very interesting to think about.
Mm-hmm.
What the
future of schedule could be, and like Jeremiah was saying, like how they incorporate space age stuff,
right?
So that's something that hasn't been explored yet in any of the planets that we've seen.
There is a sample chapter that he read at the release party for Rhythm of War. I watched the live stream, and he read a chapter from. It's like an unreleased sequel to Six of the Dusk that's set during the space age of the Cosmere. And there's a shard bearer that shows up on the planet Six of the Dusk. And it has like a shard gun and I don't know
shard gun.
And they're very like they're talking about the laws. Like it seems like they're like a skybreaker or something because they are kind of withholding. They're doing things, trying to do things according to the laws of But then there's also a comment about these people, these rulers above, these people that are like, I'm imagining like there's like a blockade of their planet almost. I forget what they call themselves, but there's an implication that it might be Scadrial. That is like basically Scadrial and Roshar are kind of trying to get this the AVR. They're trying to get hold of that technology, that investiture technology for this some kind of war that's happening or whatever, or maybe it's just in preparation for maybe it's like an arms race kind of thing. But yeah, that's just interesting. But so should we jump to Roshar maybe?
Yeah, let's make our way to Roshar.
Lots of stuff's going on with Roshar
currently
that we don't really even fully understand. I feel like, like what happened. We still don't know what happened to Honor. I mean,
like what exactly?
Like
beyond just Odium doing something.
What do you guys think? Because he was going mad before he was.
I almost wonder if he shattered himself in a form.
Yeah, that's kind of what I wonder too. Because of the Spren, like I sort of think that he put so much of his investiture in Spren and like letting so that the radiance could like bond,
or that he
more attention to in rereading is like, what does cultivation say? Because she would be the one that would talk about it the most.
Or wonder
or Odium
if he did it because he knew that he could somehow in a way bring more power to Roshar, to the people of Roshar, through shattering himself.
Right. Well, because you think about it, like humans. The humans that came to Roshar were of Odium, right? Like the original.
Yeah, like
they're from Braze, right?
Yeah,
they're from they came from was it Ashen?
That's right, Ashen. Yeah,
so you got
Braze is where they were now, or I guess.
Yeah,
Braze is like the moon of Roshar, right?
Braze is moon of Roshar, and Odium is bound there.
Yeah,
bound to Braze, but. He still has an influence in the system.
Yeah.
But he's completely bound to the system. So there was some kind of, agreement that happened with these shards. Because there's 3 shards. There's honor, there's cultivation, and odium, and they made some kind of agreement.
Something that bound
that involved binding odium, and I don't know exactly what it was.
Would that have been what allowed honor to be shattered?
What's that?
Like, as part of the agreement was honor allowing himself to be shattered.
Maybe.
So that odium.
That's a good point.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a good point. Maybe there was some kind of agreement like that and maybe honor knew that if he shattered, maybe that could through like the bonds with a spren that could kind of tip the humanity's allegiance towards honor, even if he wasn't around to like guide them.
They make a big deal about the Challenge of Champions.
Yeah.
Was it like they made agreement and like honor and odium would battle, and then whoever won, the other one would have to stay.
I don't know.
And then honor invested so much of himself that he shattered on winning, and that's why odium has to stay.
I always thought that the whole Contest of Champions thing was like a sort of just a general Cosmere rule that like if there was like an agreement between shards, that it could be that was one of the ways it could be broken is through champions.
Yeah, it was like because they're saying that the Contest of Champions is an alternative,
right?
And it's the safer for odium. So it's a contest, but either honor and odium themselves
to get what he wants. It's the only way for him to get what he wants without opening himself up to being weakened. Like if he breaks his agreement, he will be vulnerable, and then another shard like cultivation could attack him and defeat him.
Yeah. So it does say, I forgot, that honor actually specifically says that odium killed him. Odium has killed me.
Yeah, he does say that, but there's also like the talks about him going mad and stuff, and I think he was already splintering when odium killed him. You know what I mean?
Did odium like infect him, or
that's a good question because like that's something you see.
Did the bearer of honor start?
Oh, that's interesting.
That's a good
tempted
point.
by odium.
Yeah,
honor blades are made out of the god metal of honor. I didn't know that.
Makes sense. Oh, okay.
So are they technically like they're slivers of honor?
It must be.
They're like adium or lerasium. They are. That's because each god has its own metal.
Yeah.
And that honor blades are just made out of that god metal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Says shard blades and plates are both made out of a mixture of the unnamed god metal, and they're made out of the mixture of the god metals of honor and cultivation. And the proportion of the two differs depending on the type of spren that forms the blade.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense because like
there are at least 10 alloys.
You have the edge dancers. I mean, they're more aligned to cultivation.
Cultivation spren.
That's cultivation spren. Yeah. So they're
much more weighted that way, and probably the why am I forgetting? Windrunners are probably a lot more honor.
Oh yeah, they're the closest to honor. That's a big thing in Rhythm of War.
Purely of honor.
Yeah, they're honor spren.
They're honor spren. Yeah, it's a big thing in Rhythm of
War.
War.
Opposites in that sense, then.
Yeah,
or opposite ends of the spectrum, I guess.
Yeah, to some degree.
But then that goes into like because Renarin has a void spren.
Well, he does, but it's not it's not a regular void spren. It's a corrupted. Remember, you have the unmade. So one of the things you have on Roshar is you have these things called unmade.
Is that spren all three? Is that cultivation, honor, and odium?
Oh, interesting.
I think it's in between odium and honor. It's like which I think is a kind of a tip of the hat to some kind of in between. Maybe a similar thing may happen in the future
between cultivation and odium.
Between cultivation and odium, or honor and odium, if honor is reformed somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember the whole thing at the end of what's the Rhythm of War? The Rhythm of War is the tone, pure tone of honor and the pure tone of odium.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's their harmony. Their harmony is the Rhythm of War.
Yeah.
So that means to me, if someone were to hold odium and honor, they would be holding the Shard of War.
Oh.
Oh my gosh. Brandon Sanderson
What?
is about to do the biggest crossover ever into the God of War.
But here's another thing that
What was the name of the Spren of Urthuru?
the sibling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was the sibling. Yeah, the sibling was
That's
is
honor
the,
and cultivation.
which that's the product of honor.
It's
and
not really.
cultivation.
It's not both of them together. It is a
It's like their child.
sub of both of them.
Supposedly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Supposedly it's like their child.
How does that even work?
I don't
Do
know.
both of them give up parts of their power? And that's why,
Yeah, something like that probably.
That's why Odium is more powerful than either, or is that just
Until he
because
wasn't.
he is Odium?
Yeah, until he wasn't. I mean, he was really. By the time before he was desperate before Taravangian took him up.
Yeah,
He was like the power was like bleeding
that was like
through
the
him.
bearer was going mad.
He was going mad, but he was like he was falling apart.
What was his bearer? His Raze was
Yeah.
going insane.
Well, he's going insane, and he was
desperate,
very
like,
weak.
really desperate. Yeah.
That's why he was so desperate for the contest, is because it was.
An
I
opportunity.
think he was breaking. He must have been doing some things that were skirting.
breaking Odium itself.
Well, they were skirting his. Probably they must have been either
Whatever
going
agreement
against the intent or
okay.
skirting the agreement. Maybe.
Yeah.
It may have been like eating away at his power or something, or his whatever. Yeah, integrity. But you remember when Never Dalinar is saying his what was it, third oath in Oathbringer,
Mm-hmm.
and he says, "I am unity," and it's all in caps.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what's good. That's something. That's some kind of. It could be a thing about
Is that
honor.
all three?
Well, so this
That's
is
what I'm wondering.
This is interesting too. There's I didn't know this, but the Stormfather was created intentionally by honor, and he's actually merged with with Tanavast's cognitive shadow.
Okay.
Where is there a reference for that? Of where that was confirmed.
Arcanum Unbounded Seattle signing.
Okay.
And
It's
what was the
it's a
other
word
one?
of Brandon.
23 our books AMA 2015 Arcanum. So, but I'm just reading on the Coppermind.net.
Yeah. What is it? What was the question and answer that was said?
The Stormfather is technically a splinter of honor, but it was an intentional splinter that honor did himself. Does he have another splinter? So all the honor splinter are splinters of honor, but that is a different situation because he actually did this intentionally.
Okay.
But
But that doesn't say anything about his cognitive shadow.
yeah, let me go over here now. Let's see.
The second reference.
Bum, 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 bum.
So yeah, the splinters. So the Spren are splinters of honor, but they are just kind of like.
Oh, could
That's
you
what Sil said.
explain?
She's a little tiny splinter of a god.
Could you explain a little bit more about Cognitive Shadows? When you first mentioned the name and gave the examples of Kelsier and the Shades from Threnody, you kind of gave the impression that they were kind of like ghosts. But this past December at the Aurum signing, you mentioned that the Stormfather and the Mists were also Cognitive Shadows. The first makes sense to me. I had an entire theory about that, although I argued he was specifically Tanavast and not Honors. The second, however, really doesn't make sense. Okay. On the first question, I did not say the Mists themselves were a cognitive shadow. That must have been a misunderstanding. The Stormfather totally is, though. Cognitive shadows are basically ghosts, which can take a lot of different forms from in the Cosmere, but follow general rules.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But it also says here that, which I didn't know either, the Fused are also cognitive shadows.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Come back and take over the bodies of the Singers Reborn. And the Heralds are also kind of a form of cognitive shadow to an extent, but not fully like that. They're different.
And all the fused are
like
I
a
guess they're
cognitive
all
shadow
bound to
technically is
grace
like
then.
someone who's touched. They're dead, but they've touched the
shard.
power of a shard, like Kelsier.
I guess
you know.
they're not. The Heralds aren't cognitive shadows, but he's bound the Heralds to himself and gave them the resurrective ability.
I think they are cognitive shadows,
But
though.
but they did not require body snatching.
I think they are cognitive shadows. I think that's part of
they were till it started dying.
Yeah.
He died. Oh, Tanavast cognitive shadow merged with the Stormfather along with the largest portion of Honor's remaining power. That remaining power is sufficient to keep Odium bound to Roshar and the Oath Pack ongoing.
I mean, can the dagger they're using to kill the heralds, can that kill the Stormfather if they could find some form of him to stab?
Probably have to scale it up, right?
I guess that would actually be a danger to Kelsire then, too.
How does the Stormfather appear in the cognitive realm? I forget.
Have we ever
he's
seen him in the cognitive realm?
Appeared anywhere.
I don't think so, but you'd have to have...
as a voice.
Well, yeah, he appears as...
His form is the storm, and you can't really...
You can see a face in the storm if you're in like a certain part of it, like during...
Like in the beginning section.
Well, and then like, Dalinar briefly summons him.
Yeah.
To localized. So maybe that would be like one way, is if he was... That would localize him. But I don't know. But I would think you would have to have some kind of form in the cognitive realm. Just like all the other...
So the Stormfather actually holds most of Honor's remaining power too, which is probably how Dalinar is able to open.
Yeah. Honor's particularity.
So that would mean being a bondsmith to the Stormfather.
And that power is the only one that remaining power is what's keeping Odium bound to Roshar at the moment, through the Oath Pact. So if something happens to that power...
Oh, and that's something that they reveal, I think, in Rhythm of War. The Oath Pact is somehow not completely...
broken.
It's like the Oath Pact is like, it's wounded or something like that. But it's like it'd be possible to heal it or reform it. That's Dalinar's play. Is he's like, we go and... they're going to go to try to get the other honor blades.
Yeah. Or some way to reform the Oath Pact.
Right. So I think that's going to be a big
part of the second era.
I guess
for the last book.
I don't know.
Be the most thing.
It could be the second era, but I'm wondering if it's going to be a big thing in the fifth book, where they're going to be trying to reform the Oath Pact, but I don't think it's going to work. I just don't. I think it's going to be one of those things that's like, this is what we've been trying to do the whole book, and it's not going to work, and something else will have been building in the background that'll come up. But, like they were trying to reform the Knights Radiance in Words of Radiance, right? Yeah. By just saying they were going to do it, but then it didn't work out. But then it worked out because Kaladin was,
actually one of them. Or a new version of one of them.
Right, and then Shallan and everything.
Yeah.
But, so...
That's another question. What is Nightblood made of a god metal?
I think so.
Is he just made of a...
I think he is, but he's not just a god metal, because... He's like...
He's got enough of a...
He's got so much investiture.
Cognitive presence.
Right. There's something more than that. I don't know if he's just awakened.
Yeah, because they say he's like a different form of what they can make with endowment. But there aren't many of. Or he was the only one.
So, going back to the Oath Pact, Dalinar actually saw the Oath Pact. And noted a particularly strong, still potent connection when he touched Nail with Bondsmith powers. Yeah,
that's where I got that, is that he saw the Oath Pact, that it wasn't completely, broken.
Ishar implied that there's a way to reset the Oath Pact when he shortly regained sanity, instructed down on ammunition of our yada yada yada. Even after the Oath Pact was abandoned by 9 of the heralds, a connection that remained between them still allowed each herald to sense the others to some extent. Let's talk about them dying.
That's something they go over a lot in Way of Kings Prime. It's the ability to sense the other heralds.
Yeah, I think that was a bigger thing there.
Yeah, I don't think Talon is it's a character.
Yeah,
like the main character or one of.
But I don't think it works exactly the same in Way. I don't think they can always sense.
The whole investiture is different.
I think in Way of Kings Prime, couldn't they sense their honor blades too?
It was with his honor blade, then he could sense.
Right.
Or he could sense the other honor blades.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
In this, they can't sense the honor blades.
So this might be why the Oath Pact is still technically in effect. Talon never actually broke.
Oh, that's right.
Brandon himself says you will, because someone said, Talon, did he actually ever give up, or did he just get released? And Brandon said, you will find out, but Talon did not break. You'll find out how it happened, but Talon did not break. So that could be why the Oath Pact is still. So it might be weak enough to where Odium was able to push him out, but because he still never broke, there's still that power there.
Well, that's a whole...
The pact was never broken.
That's a whole other theory, though. of what happened with Talon, because I've known that about Talon, that he never broke, and that makes sense now. Because he's say that he came back because someone else broke. Like, you know how they if they
like one of the other heralds died and then went
to Braze and broke
immediately.
Right. Yeah, that's the theory that I think there's a lot of
but who
support for.
That doesn't make. I don't know if that makes sense to me.
It's a theory about Shallan's mother. The theory is that Shallan's mother is the Herald Shannarak. And the Herald Shannarak. So if you look at the illustrations, the canon illustrations for Shannarak, she looks like Shallan, and they describe, like, what is Shallan's entire like character arc is like, remembering that she killed people. Imagine how like the ultimate like character thing for Shallan, which it seems horrible, because she was like, she was so close to.
She is the one that caused the Voidbringers to come back, or not the Voidbringers, but
who knows? Maybe she didn't. Like, I don't know how he's gonna do that, but that there's a theory that Shannarak married and had a child, and that's Shallan, because the heralds can have children. Ash, I think, is a child of
one of them,
of Yezrien and like Yezrien and someone else. Mm-hmm. Maybe it had a child, and anyway. And that's one of the another herald. But anyway, so the theory is that because from the time that Shallan mother would have died to the time of Talon coming back was like the perfect time
for the beginning of a return.
Yeah, and of the Everstorm and everything. Mm-hmm. So, well, the Everstorm was different.
I guess that depends on how long she lasted when she was dead and back.
Which wasn't long. It would have been like a couple years or something, a few years, I think.
Yeah. They said like at the end of the...
so that's the theory.
Desolation
that's the theory, is that the reason Talon came back was because another herald died the normal way, not like with like the way Yezrien died, but died, broke, and then he was released. That would mean that Shallan's mother is out there somewhere on Roshar alive, if that theory is right.
Yeah.
It was Rafa.
Right.
Oh, of course.
But there's a description, a pretty...
I literally just pulled it up and pulled up her page on, and just every image was just like Shallan, the red hair and all that.
Well, in the description of there's a slightly spoilers for the prologue of Stormlight 5, but there's a description of the Herald Shannarak, like a very peculiar description of Shannarak. It's like, why are you focusing on this herald?
Yeah.
That it sounds like Shallan, like the description sounds like Shallan. Anyway, so
well,
that's some fun stuff about Roshar.
I mean, that's the big of it. I mean, the other stuff is some smaller stuff.
Well, besides the fact that Taravangian has a new. Odium has a new
that's very
vessel.
Important.
Yeah. Odium has a new vessel that's, spry and...
Well.
After he's overtaken, yeah.
I mean, he's not...
he outsmarted Hoyd.
Yeah, well, at least it seems that way.
So...
Yeah.
Which is terrifying.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, Taravangian is now Odium. I mean,
if how that's... cursed or whatever by cultivation, do you then have technically a sliver for...
Right. I don't know.
You would have a sliver of cultivation and Odium.
Well, I was reading about this recently, he actually comments on that. When he ascends, he realizes that she was trying... he sees all of the things she was trying to do, all the pieces she was trying to move, and that he was one of them. And that she basically thought that if she could get him... to take up the shard, she would kind of have a little bit of
some influence over it.
That he would understand both both aspects of compassion and
passion
and intelligence, right?
Yeah.
And so but basically he kind of fluffs that off, like in his own internal thought processes.
Well,
like,
I mean,
she thinks I'm going to be, on kind of
says he
see
does.
things her way.
We'll see how successful he was.
That's a good point.
Over time.
Yeah, right. He could be
because like he could have done it initially, but like
right.
If it's there, it's there.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, Contest of Champions. The book 4 ends. It's like 10 days.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So I don't know. Like book 5 is probably going to feel like so much is packed into it. I guess because it's all going to have to take place in the span of 10 days or so.
I don't know.
That's
I'm getting nauseous thinking about it.
all the Mistborn Era 2 books are within like a day, and then that's going to be a week. I think it's the longest one, but like that's.
I honestly think that
Stormlight is so much longer than that.
I honestly think that our heroes are going to lose the Contest of Champions.
I have a feeling they will too, which is very upsetting. I have a deep fear that Kaladin's going to die.
Yeah.
How much more story arc do you think, or character arc do you think he has?
Becoming Honor.
Because like,
I don't care.
Dalinor's closer to that than he is, but
I mean, I don't know. I think they're equal candidates. I think Dalinar could be a candidate for Honor, and I think, that's the problem. I think Dalinar is going to become because like, remember the agreement. If they lose, so like the agreement was like, basically either way he's going to stay bound to Roshar. But if they lose, Dalinar's his.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because like he wanted to be free, but they wouldn't agree to it, and finally he agreed to it. I think
currently Dalinar is like got probably the one person who's got the most control over Honor's power.
Yeah, right, because of being bound to
Stormfather, which is like if he's under Odium's control.
Yeah, what would happen to the Stormfather?
What's going to happen with the Stormfather or the Oath Pack in general? Like, that power is what's holding Odium there.
Yeah, I don't know.
I was just
Dalinar becomes the new big baddie.
Kaladin's whole character is him going between the honor of fighting to defend his people and then also healing and cultivation. It's like that would be perfect to bind the two. Yeah,
it's true.
I'll be curious to see what happens. How he's gonna end this 5th book and then go into the next.
After 10-year gap between the two.
Yeah.
Well, he said the gloves are off with Lost Metal.
Yeah.
Which means I expect a lot of Cosmere crossovers.
A lot of stuff ramping up
in Stormlight. And I expect us to have a good picture of what's going on in the Cosmere at that moment.
Yeah.
Not just what's going on in Roshar with Odium and other shards, but like I expect there to be some kind of, people from outside of Roshar that we'll get an idea of like what's going on in Scadrial and other places.
That's something I'll have to pay attention to when I get to was it more Oathbringer and Rhythm of War where they get to the Ghost Bloods.
Oh yeah.
And like now with the knowledge that they are associated with Kelsier.
Right.
Or Kelsier. And then just like relating all of that together.
Right.
Because they're probably going to be a much, much bigger role in Book 5 then. And maybe Kelsier himself. Oh, if Mistborn Era 2 is supposed to be between the two eras of Stormlight, I forget if he mentions Kelsier. Anything that would be from
I don't think he does.
Stormlight or Roshar.
I don't remember, but I don't think
I think they are meant to be in between them.
I don't think he mentions anything, though.
Right.
Yeah, he talks a bit about like autonomy, but
yeah.
And then like, does that mean she's going to be?
Well, Men of Gold and Red. I still have my suspicions that Men of Gold and Red are a reference to Odium. There's the people the army that's going to come across. I don't think is Autonomy's army.
Gold and Red would be Odium and Honor.
I think
because Odium is more associated with Red and Honor is more with Gold.
No, I mean in the Stormlight books, the golden power is a big marker of Odium. Anytime he talks to Dalinar in the visions, or whenever he hits Odium, I mean, whenever he slams into Hoyd in the epilogue of Rhythm of War, it talks about a golden power.
Yeah,
hitting him, and then obviously the red, you get that with like the void light and stuff.
That's what I was thinking more.
So I think so. That's why I think I suspect. I was suspecting that maybe the army in that book was from Roshar, which that's not a good sign. If it is,
It is not.
but anyway, like because that would be
they're all on shard plate.
yeah. Because think about like maybe because if Odium's still bound to Roshar, but maybe if he could get soldiers off Roshar through this like portal thing that's happening in the Lost Metal, because they're waiting. They're somewhere else waiting to be let through. Where are they? Cognitive realm, I guess, probably. But
dang, like, does that mean like that group of soldiers is going to be stuck from the end of
just waiting
for 10 years because of the bomb that they left there? Like, are they going to, they're stuck in time there? Is that like they're just going to be getting out of that at the beginning of Era 2?
Oh, because it was like it was a time thing.
It was what's her name?
Yeah.
Marasi.
Yeah.
She like had the most powerful time ever.
Although thinking about it, does Lost Metal take place in between in the time skip? Or because Lost Metal takes place like multiple years after book 3 of Era 2. Because it's got a bit of a time skip because he's got like kids that are like 7.
Yeah.
That's true, yeah.
I think that the whole Wax and Wane
is within that
series
10 years.
is supposed to be within that 10 years.
Okay, that makes sense.
So they would be.
And then I
funny
think
if they're stuck there for 3 years or whatever.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway,
a lot more to think on.
Somewhat caught up.
I'm excited to do a reread now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Everything, try to hold it in your head.
Get the corkboard out and start like drawing. Get the yarn.
You're gonna.
Yarn
oh my gosh! I'm getting a new house. I'm just gonna the whole room. One of the walls of the room is just gonna be you're walking, just be yarn connecting all the different dots. Like, Josh, I'm figuring it out.
The diagram.
Oh my gosh!
Just yarn going across from one wall to the other, and ceilings and everything.
Some weird character name's gonna be connected to something way over here. Like, what is it? What do you? What? I just assumed. It's Brandon. It's like a complete different book series design written by Brandon. It's somehow connected.
Literally every dot is connected to everything else.
Pretty much. Well, it's been another fun one.
Yeah, definitely.
I hope everybody enjoys all the Cosmere check-ins. Those who listen to it, I know it's spoilers, so
yeah. Those who are caught up as
eventually, and those who haven't,
so us.
Those who haven't will come back years from now when the Cosmere has become like a cultural phenomenon, and everyone's just like gobbling
that wasn't
up all
a movie
the
adaptation.
Oh no!
Yeah,
that's disappointing to think about. Anyway,
unfortunate.
Well, this has been a Bridge of Two podcast.
A far, far away bridge.
But